Hello and welcome to this Sunday service edition of Transcending Ascension. Here with you today, Reverend Diana Marie. I think it's important to bring it down to the base levels, which I know I embody fully, and that is the divine knowledge that we are all God. You are God. I am God. This is all God. We are inside God. There is no thing that is not of divine origin. And this on Sunday needs to be made sacred again, brought back to the people so that they can feel in their hearts and be reminded. For those that have to do 9 to 5 jobs, for those that have to do any working job, it's most likely not always or possibly never going to be in alignment with your divine soul. And this is what takes us off the path. We're in the process of creating a new world where this isn't the case and we are not made slaves to the dollar. I myself have found ways through manifestation and divine alignment to set my life up in a way where I don't need to do the standard 9 to 5 job. I have found a way to do a bunch of things that bring together what the world needs and what I, as a human being, need to function and survive in this reality where working and money are such an ingrained part of it. But that's not where our focus needs to be. And this is why on Sundays, we need to absolutely have a day of rest, a day of prayer, a day of self-reflection, a day of deep introspection on reminding ourselves that we are God. We are divine. Just absolutely saturate yourself in this information. Above you, you will see just the beginning of affirmations that are going to take over this entire side roof, because the amount of saturation that we can have in our life is never enough. At any given point, you should always be chanting inside your head, I am divine, I am divine, I am divine. And why do we have to do this? Unless you're a monk living in the forest that's completely separated from any EMFs coming at you, which is highly doubtful in the age of satellites and everything that goes on with us now energetically, that you are not being attacked, for lack of a better word, from outside sources that are trying to knock you off your divine path. Now, are they necessarily the absolute devil? Not necessarily. These energetic matrix forces that get created using the laws of the universe, specifically things like the laws of rhythm, are here to knock you off your path, not because they're evil, but because they want your energy. So, what can you do about this? You take responsibility of yourself because you are God, and you bring back your energy into the self. Now, the best way to do that is by simply affirming, I am God. I am divine. I am the absolute creator that ever was, never is. I am everything. Now, does that mean that you have the full powers of the cosmos, like the genie in Aladdin? I am all powerful. Not right now in this incarnation, but that is okay, because as God, you have chosen to become a human. Right now, you've chosen to become every single human that's ever been, that ever will be, in every single time and space, in every single dimension, in every single layer, in every single variation. In it's the infinite amounts of ways I could say this are also infinite, because you are that much God. And you take the laws of the universe and live within them in every embodied creation that you are. So when you're a lobster, you'll follow lobster laws. And right now, as a human, you are to follow human laws. Now, what does that mean? Guess what? This is why the Bible is always shouting about us being God's children and us being made in his image. We are creator beings too, just like the ultimate God of the absolute that we are. So, no, we don't hold full God power, but we do hold more power than a lot of the interdimensional beings they say exist, more than any other mammal you can see on Earth. We are because we speak. Because we speak. The words that we say, which is why I'm here, out of our mouth are divinely important. And this is where we manifest and we create. What we think is step number one. The thoughts in our head that are always running, we need to be absolutely there and vigilant and always paying attention to what they are doing in the background at any given time, regardless of the situation. And then next is our words. What are our words saying? They should also be divinely aligned. I am sacred. I am a creator being, which is not easy to walk around using those words constantly. If you have to go to a job and talk like a normal person about business things or sales or fixing stuff, whatever your job is, the language you're going to be using is not always going to be that divine. Now, I recently just went through a stretch where I went and had a normal job again. I started doing digital production because they saw I made videos and we live in the same town and they asked if I could do it for them, and I did. And then it worked into administration and scheduling and all this stuff. But I promised myself I was not going to alter my behavior. And I was consistently mentioning, oh, well, that's because they're this and, naming their astrological signs. And oh, well, that's because we're about to have an eclipse and blah, blah, And I would always be like answering because I can't hear a human discuss a problem and not bring in the energetic correlations of why they might be feeling this. This is why I minister people. This is why I life coach. And it all works in that environment. As long as people want to hear the truth. People in that environment don't often like to hear that they're the problem, but at least I have a certain allowing that I, as my own boss, am allowed to speak in divine language. But when you work for somebody else in an outside company, you get a lot of energetic, they would I wasn't told I wasn't allowed to talk that way, but a person can feel when they are rejected, when they are not heard, when they are not understood, when it's brushed away, when it's ignored, when it's overlooked like that's silly and not relevant, when in fact they want to continue talking about issues in the business and issues with other people and all these chaotic things that can happen within a business, but then you want to ignore the outside divine realization and creation that are causing those problems. And there'd be problems in every business right now because of what's happening with the ascension. It's not just affecting us as humans, it's affecting every single matrix construct that holds itself, like egregores. They are living beings, and every single business, every single ideal, every single thing, like Transcending Ascension itself, holds its own micro matrix, its own micro. It would be fairly almost not fully formed at this point because I don't have any rules. It's divinely open. It's just extremely open. And when you keep a matrix very open, it's very changeable, it's very flexible. But the way our energy systems work and the way the universe is created, every single thing that has a repeated ideal, anytime you say a thought twice, it's creating a weave. It's creating a web. It's creating, if you in the olden days, if you're knitting together a matrix. So multiple thoughts, and then you have cross-streaming thoughts and cross-streaming thoughts. They weave together matrices. So businesses do this too, and they all do it in their own varied way. Every person does it, every family has it. Energy vampires specifically have very strong ones, so beware. They're going to want to pull on you and take your energy. So this is where I found myself in this other business, a business that is so not magic. I really tried to find something magical to hold on to within it, but there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough because you can find magic in everything. But when humans want to live in that 100% reality world and not see the divine in things, that's going to be very draining to you as a person. That's going to be very not the way to ascend properly into your highest timeline as a divine being. And most people end up having to work. The system did this on purpose. As soon as we had feminism, it was probably the goal from the get-go. They were never wanting to offer women more freedom. They were trying to get more money out of the people, drain them dry, take essentially away the children. Because once upon a time, they wanted you to send your children to boarding school. Remember that. If you had any money whatsoever, it was expected that you sent your kids to boarding school. Why? Because they wanted to take and condition your children. And that's why the poor were disgusting and gross and ignore them, because they didn't go to boarding school and they might have actually thought more free than the people that had money to do anything about anything. So you see the overarching matrix that controls the overarching thing that we formally would call reality held such a control on us because they got us as children, and the entire world is constructed for us to work within money, so they want to control the money system as well, right? They go hand in hand, controlling your thoughts and controlling the money. But we can take this control back. We could take this control back because we need to realize I am a creator being. You are. You can go into certain ventures like I did and see it as a lesson the whole time. Like, okay, well, I'm just learning soul lessons. I didn't have to be doing the job. I took it because they asked, and then I just kept doing more because they were asking. But at some point, boundaries have to be drawn, and you say no. So I had the ability to be able to leave, and I did just that. As soon as it was more of a detriment to the soul than could be recuperated, because remember, you can put yourself under strain, and the discipline and strain is actually good for enlightenment. So I do this to myself quite frequently, where I just up the ante in what I can go through. Because when you increase your ability to suffer, you actually increase your ability to hold joy and hold happiness even when things get tumultuous, because you can hold yourself steady regardless of the scenario. So you can be that enlightened but human being in the real world. Because I've gone through this before when I used to speak as more of a student in this, where you're not sure what you want, but you know you want to be magical. I wasn't sure because we're told and we're see that the hippies in the forest with the bongos, and that's enlightenment in a Western society. But that's not necessarily something I want. I moved to the country. I want that. But at the same time, I still want to live a real human experience. And I think the majority of us came here for an authentically real human experience, but human and divine at the same time. So I became a minister. That's why I want to open a spiritual center one day where I can offer people a free way to come to a hippie drum circle, chanting mantras, yoga. Like that's the new church. And I see it made of pure gold, because the gold energy will be like a healing temple to us all. And I think it's good for us all to have such dreams of such things, because we need the frequency of the earth to be raised right now so that we can embody what we want to be. It's the ascension, it's the awakening. Anybody that doesn't want to enlighten right now is severely unconscious, because the call is to enlighten. Once upon a time, if you enlightened, you were amazing because you were the only one, and you specifically, like Jesus and Buddha, we know we have a lot of evidence that Jesus was specifically brought down from higher dimensions to help us enlighten. And quite likely Buddha might have been the same, or again, he shows a lot of suffering to get where he got. So perhaps he was just a regular human, but he was born a prince, and karma wise, that would mean he was already pretty high soul level. So again, we need to see examples of you and me, regular people that were living regular lives that were like, you know what? I want to enlighten. Like, I want to enlighten, but I want to live right here. I don't, the oversaturated market of picking up and leaving your family and moving to India to live in an ashram, we need to accept that that's not who this generation of spiritual people are. We can appreciate them and they're great. And one day if we want to do that, that's fine, but we don't have to do that to be spiritual. We could sit here right now in our bedrooms or down in our offices where I also do the show, and simply preach the word that is God. Take over what the Christians have been doing forever, because the Christians had a lot of it laid out and constructed for us in a way that it holds a good map for us to do, especially evangelical churches of now. I think they're not there yet. They have a lot of work to do, but they're so close, and they have the infrastructure. They have the buildings, they have the finances, they have the people, like the volume of people to really do something about this if they wanted to wake up and to start treating the full embodiment of the divine with accuracy, and the sovereign self appreciation of what the divine is within each other, and how that will look differently. So like, I might want to heal by chanting and dancing. You might want to heal by talking in light language. They might want to heal by just sleeping and crying. And there, you saw a taste of that in the evangelical churches. I went for a bit, but again, just like the job, there's a certain point where it's not helping enough. It was good to go. It was good to get the experience. It was good to get the lessons. But once you've taken all you can take from a situation, informationally wise, now you might just be dealing with a draining situation, because there's the moments when you're singing, and there's the moments like there'd be people dancing, there'd be people, what they call talking in tongues, which I don't think you should do. But light language, if you want to each their own, though. That might be in your own personal, sovereign, discerning journey. If that feels calling and brings your vibration up, then that is your thing. Mine singing, specifically the tone elf, and Jewish letter one. It's first. So there's something there about that, and literally get like kundalini energy rising experiences that just explode at the heart, and the literal propeller feeling of physically feeling that in the heart happened at angelical churches. So there's something there that can be utilized on Sunday service. So one day, be streaming live from a church, as my teacher Paul Masters did. He was a metaphysical minister himself, teaching live on the internet in the late 90s, early 2000s, or maybe just early 2000s himself, starting it from the get-go of Sunday service, but from the metaphysical standpoint of you are God, you are divine, and that means you are a creator being, because you hold the word that God does, as we are in God's image. You can speak yourself the life you choose. So I'm showing you a bit of what I choose on Sunday service, on enlightenment. What do you choose? Because think those words to yourself. Do you want more travel and vacation? And that might sound basic, but it's actually travel. Pilgrimage does something to the soul. There's lots to be found there. Do you have hopes of being an artist? Because in your soul, you want to sing, you want to draw, you want to make stuff. Then start envisioning and speaking that into reality. And then afterwards comes actions. You want to embody what you speak, and with the embodiment comes actions. Oftentimes that's fixing our habits first. But once you get your habits fixed, you can almost find a void space where you're a little empty. You're like, okay, I got rid of the bad habits. What good habits do I need? Well, that's why you need to decide what you want first. It can be vague-ish, but you want to start honing it in and narrowing it in, because as a human being, there is so much, especially in the Western worlds, that we are capable and able to do. Like, the world is made for us individually. God experiences within each of us the same thrill of individuality that we feel right now, because we are God right now, not later, not yesterday, right now. This is God experiencing it. So you can bring that to a severely maximum degree. And we see that all around us in certain people that are, whether they realize it or not, understanding that and living by it. There's so many extreme sports right now that I find magical proof in. The way they ski down a mountain that's fully straight, or the skydiving in the parachute things, and they're flying in midair. The biking down mountains. They've done so many. I used to ski. Skiing is like flying, but I skied on a safe, just normal ski resort hill thing. These people are just next level, touching that God space of true divine trust. You would have to be in a divine space to get anything in action of flow to work. So severe musicians are already in that space. But regardless of what you want to do, this is what I'm realizing too, is we can drop back down and be basic, because you can start basic and stay divinely basic. Like, I love being a mother, and you could put so much God in being a mom. You could put so much of yourself into absolutely everything. So this goes with whatever you want to do. Are you a mechanic? Are you a computer designer? Whatever you do, you can do it divine. It does often seem like there's certain jobs that have more options than other in a divine realm, but that doesn't mean you can't invent something. We're in a new age, and this new age is calling for new positions. So what is your new divine position going to be? This is what I'll leave you with today on Sacred Sunday service. What do you want to do? Think huge. Think what you truly would want to do as you are now. Yes, get rid of your bad habits, but believe it or not, you're going to actually end up being more or less the same. You might think that you'd completely revolutionarily change who you are, but what you want and what you think you are is already inside you. The sparks of what light you up and make you happy already exist inside you. So happiness is yours. You don't actually have to go far to find it. Just get rid of the negative things you don't like. When things come up that you don't want, start cutting stuff out. And while you cut stuff out, always keep your eye open to joy and bliss. Where are you finding joy and bliss in your life? And start finding more things. It might not be exactly that, that's your purpose, but it could be in micro degrees. You end up inching your way there. And another thing is you don't need to have just one purpose. That's another thing. I find purpose in being a mother. I find purpose in being a minister. I find purpose in being a content creator. And I find purpose in manifesting my life of my spiritual center, of future trips and pilgrimages, and of future building of houses and farming. There are so many options that are here for us today. So look around you, and where is your potential? Where is your God spark going to lead you? Goodbye for now. Thank you for joining us on Transcending Ascension Sunday service.